Hey trainers, my name is Tiger Chainsaw, but you can call me Pokemon Master TC. Now I haven't always been a Pokemon Master. In fact, it's taken me over 20 years to reach this status, but my love of Pokemon goes back to my earliest childhood, especially when I needed it the most. And I've really reconnected with the franchise of Pokemon, and my love for it has reignited over these last few years. And so I'm excited to talk to all of you about my passion for Pokemon. And in this channel, you're going to be watching videos of retrospectives, discussions, and I have some really rare and really cool items from the Pokemon franchise from my childhood that I am excited to show all of you. So if you like that content, make sure you hit that sub button so you don't miss any of that type of stuff. Now, this first discussion that I have is going to be a deep one. It is why I love Pokemon and why it's so special to me. This is the story of how Pokemon saved my life. Pokemon changed my life. It became my first addiction. The TV show, games, cards, and toys. I was enamored by it all. Becoming a Pokemon Master was all that I cared about as a kid, and so I became one. Join me, Pokemon Master TC, as I relive the most nostalgic part of my childhood and showcase my Pokemon collection, and most important of all, share my love of Pokemon with you. I was the target audience for Pokemon when it came out in the 90s. I was a 10-year-old boy who loved video games. And I remember one day I was sick, and so I did not attend school. And then 2 p.m. rolled around and I was flipping through the channels. We didn't have Nickelodeon or the Disney Channel or any of Cartoon Network, any of those special channels. We didn't have cable. And so I had to watch what we had, and that was PBS, Fox, CBS. And so I didn't want to watch, talk shows or soap operas. And I remember it was around 2 p.m. I turned on Fox and I saw this weird cartoon start up. And it was so different from anything that I'd ever seen before. It was really colorful. It was drawn differently than the cartoons that I was used to watching. And I saw Ash and Pikachu for the very first time. In fact, that was the very first episode of Pokemon. So how lucky am I that I caught the first episode on Fox? Now the problem was that it was on at 2 p.m. And so being someone that goes to school, I wasn't going to be able to watch these episodes because I would get home after 3 p.m. And so my dad, thankfully, would tape these episodes on VHS and I would watch them later. Now, thankfully, Pokemon did move different time slots and it started to appear after school so I could watch all those episodes. But it was really cool of my dad to at least tape it for me in the meantime. But Pokemon saved my life. And I don't say that in a manner of joking around. It really helped me get through a very difficult time in my life. So let me share with all of you what I was going through at 10 years old. I had the perfect American family. The family that I had was the one that you would see in the movies or on TV shows where everyone would get along. My parents loved me so much, and that's true still to this day. My dad, my mom, they both love me to death. They are wonderful parents. I also have 2 older sisters, and all of us excelled at school. We all played sports, and we were just that all-American family. But then, out of nowhere, my parents got divorced, and it was a huge shock to me because my parents never fought in front of me. They never fought in front of their kids. I had never seen them argue before, and so it was just a huge shock for me when my mom took me to the park one day and she let me know that her and my dad were going through a divorce, or that they were going to get one. And it really messed with my mind, because here I am thinking that I'm in the prime of my childhood, thinking that I have the greatest family ever, and then out of nowhere, this divorce strikes my family. And what was almost difficult about it was that it was so cut and dry. There was no fighting. There were a couple court dates that I had to go to. I had to pick who I wanted to live with. I had to talk to the court about, both of my parents, and my sisters had to do the same thing. And so I was so shaken that my world was turning upside down, and I needed an escape. And Pokemon was that avenue. It was that outlet for me. So once I started to watch Pokemon, I realized that there was a Game Boy game coming out, and I got Pokemon Blue right in the thick of my parents' divorce. And ever since I got that game, I have been obsessed with Pokemon. Pokemon gave me an adventure that I needed so badly as a kid. And Pokemon Blue, it's not the most difficult game. It's pretty perfect for a kid to play through. But I remember the music. I remember the gym battles. I remember traveling through this land that I've never been to before and being sucked so far into it. It really helped me deflect all of these negative emotions that I was having. And I did have those emotions. I didn't know what the future was going to hold, because I never thought in a million years my parents were going to get divorced. And I'm so thankful for the Pokemon franchise. And so I played the games. I would eventually get Red and Yellow. And again, my parents got me this all during the divorce. And I think they did that because they knew how special Pokemon was to me. They knew that it helped me cope with what was going on. And so in the car rides to court, as my mom began to sleep in the second bedroom by herself, as things around my house began to get packed up, I had Pokemon. I could escape at any point during the day with the flick of a switch on my Game Boy, and I would just be glued to this little handheld and this adventure that just whisked me away into a land where I didn't have to deal with my mom moving out. I didn't have to deal with people at school picking on me because my parents were getting divorced. It was a great escape for me. And because of that, I will forever be thankful to the Pokemon franchise. Now, I'm sure my parents were probably a little bit sick of me talking about Pokemon so much during this time period, because once I was hooked, I was hooked. I started getting the trading cards. As mentioned, I got Red and I got Yellow. I was watching the TV show nonstop. I got the Pokedex handbook and I was reading it every night. And my grandparents, they'd get me the toys and stuff like that too. And I'm sure everyone was pretty sick of me talking about Pokemon. My parents didn't understand it too much. They knew that I loved it, and they were the ones that would call it, Pokemon or Pokemon. And it just, I get a giggle thinking about it, because they just had no idea what Pokemon was. But they knew that I loved it. They knew that I needed it. And because of that, they let me have it. And I was very thankful for them to let me do that. And I just wanted to say thank you to the Pokemon franchise for helping me escape, because without Pokemon, I don't know what I would have got hooked on. I don't know what would have been my escape. I don't know how I would have dealt with those emotions. I remember the counselor at school would call me in and she'd be like, I know your parents are going through divorce. Is there anything you want to talk about? Are you okay with it? And essentially I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, I just beat Misty at the Cerulean Gym. I'm good. I'm good. And so it just provided an adventure that I really needed as a 10-year-old boy. And so from me to Pokemon, thank you so much. It really helped me cope. And I know Pokemon has done that for so many of us. And so I want to hear from you trainers. Has there been a time in your life where Pokemon has gotten you through it? Whether you're a 10-year-old boy going through your parents' divorce, whether you're 13 and you run away from home because your parents suck, or maybe you're a little bit older, you're in your teens and a family member dies. Pokemon really helped me cope through some negative emotions, and I want to hear from other trainers who have also used Pokemon to escape from their own misery. And so while you're watching this video, I would love to hear some stories in the comments below. Now, aside from my discussions, as I mentioned previously, I'm going to be showcasing some really cool and rare items from my childhood. I'm going to be doing more discussions on Pokemon, my thoughts on the current franchise, my thoughts on Generation 1. I'm going to be doing some Pokemon rankings, and of course, I'm going to be doing Pokemon of the Week. I'm going to pick a random Pokemon out of the original 150, and I'll be discussing its appearance in the anime, the trading card games, the video games, and my personal thoughts on it. So if you like what you hear and you want to be part of this Pokemon channel, hit that subscribe button. And also, while you're doing that, share this video with another Pokemon trainer who would love this, because I would love to interact with more Pokemon trainers. So that is the story of how Pokemon saved my life. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to connecting with all of you in the near future with more Pokemon videos. Trainers, make sure you catch them all.